Women entrepreneurs are the architects of innovation and change, transforming challenges into opportunities and weaving resilience into the very fabric of our economies. All this and much more in today's conversation.
This bungalow is about 100 plus years old. Okay. So it was built by the British guy who owned the estate, all of these things. But we said, let's kind of we just did a little bit of restoration. Mm-hmm. And then we just very organically started the whole journey. When I started Woodway, I had some serious convictions and serious value points, which I said, I'm not going to deviate from this. Okay. Number one, I'm going to run this place making sure that on the side, I was going to respect nature. I was not going to kill anything, destroy anything. I'm not going to do any of that.
Welcome to yet another episode of Beyond Her Story, only on Wonder Woman Wednesday. And our guest for today, Susmitha Shreedev, is a visionary entrepreneur whose life story is a testament to resilience, innovation, and the power of sustainable living. Susmitha has carved a niche for herself in the realms of hospitality and eco-friendly entrepreneurship. With a rich educational background from Mount Carmel College, Bangalore, and a diverse set of certifications ranging from yoga instruction to KAAPI, Kapi Shastra, Susmitha's multifaceted career is nothing short of inspiring. Her flagship venture, Woodway Homestay, stands as a beacon of eco-sensitive tourism in Chikmagalur, Karnataka, setting a precedent for sustainable and responsible travel. And beyond her professional achievements, Susmitha is deeply committed to women's empowerment and community service, making her a true Wonder Woman of our times. So let's get into this conversation right away. So welcome, Susmitha, to Beyond Her Story.
Thank you, Sneha. Thank you for having me here on your show. Thank you.
I think we'll start with the questions right away.
Yeah.
So, your journey with Woodway Homestay began in 2002, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And it marked the inception of the first ever bed and breakfast homestay in Chikmagalur.
Yeah.
So what is it that inspired you to embark on this venture, and how did you actually navigate the initial challenges of introducing, a new concept in the region?
So to be honest, frankly, Sneha, there was no thought behind it. But what really happened was I was a newlywed bride and I moved to Chikmagalur in the year 2000, right? And I was an MBA from Bangalore. So my entire mindset was around working in a corporate setup and all of this. Okay. But when I came here and I started living on the mountains, I realized, as beautiful as it is over here, it's also very important to keep busy. So for me, what started happening was idle mind was the problem, right? So then I started looking very desperately. I started seeking for things to do here because this now was my base and I had to find and, maybe even encash what I had here and then just harness the resources, right? Yeah. And so that's when Shreedev said, we have a house. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that house is kept locked up and you want to do something with it, go ahead and do it.
Okay.
And really zero idea on what I was going to do with the place because on the mountains back in 2000, who was going to come? Other than me, there was nobody else who really wanted to come and live here, right? So it just became, I just let it be. But also having said that, I stumbled upon an article in one of the magazines. We had these Femina magazines, all of those during those days. I stumbled upon an article back then which spoke about homestays in Coog.
Yeah.
So Coog had just started this whole concept and they were about 5 years old into the whole business. And I said, and that was like a bulb in my head, and I said, why not? Give it a shot. If Coog can do it, we can do too. So that was my first bulb that came on. And I said, let me give it a shot. So the house anyway needed to be kind of repaired. And, so this bungalow is about 100 plus years old. Okay. So it was built by the British guy who owned the estate, all of these things. But we said, let's kind of we just did a little bit of restoration. Mm-hmm. And then we just very organically started the whole journey.
Okay.
So we really didn't market. We didn't try too hard. I just went ahead. I started inviting people over. I started saying, come stay with us, except I'm going to charge you for this and, sort of a thing. And it started with just friends and family, honestly. And we would charge very basic rates and stuff. And it just started becoming like a fun trip for us. We were really not looking at the whole thing like a business.
Yeah.
It was just a fun journey. We were having a great time. We were meeting new people. And it was so important for us back in 2000 to meet newer people and see newer things and learn newer things, because we were not so connected like the way we are connected today in Chikmagalur. We were not so connected in 2000. So it was just very organic. There was no huge thought. There was no business model behind it, but it was just a lovely process.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's how it started.
I think it's an amazing story. Sometimes, what do they call? Serendipitous things happen, which lead to a lot of nice things, right?
Absolutely. Some of them are it's just grace sometimes, it just happens.
True.
Yeah.
So, Susmitha, your work has also impacted the local community, right? Especially in empowering women to identify and nurture secondary sources of income. Yeah. So can you share more about how Woodway Homestay has contributed to this cause and the role you play in mentoring aspiring women entrepreneurs?
Largely, I don't take the credit, Sneha, because I just feel it's such an ego-based thing to say, oh, I inspired everybody. I don't do it. But I think what also happens is when something blossoms, it always has a ripple effect, right? It starts kind of growing. And when something good happens, it's the same for bad also, but they always have a ripple effect, right? So with Woodway, what happened was the first 8 years, literally, it was monopoly here because I was just having a blast. And people were just watching to see if I was going to be successful in it or no. And then the minute I started doing well, slowly people started trying. I had a lot of people who came, asked me for advice. I shared whatever best I could, whatever I knew with my little experience. I shared with everybody. I said, this is how we can go forward. It was so beautiful to see all the women coming forward and starting this in their own homes. Earlier, it was in their own homes. They would let out a few rooms. And it was lovely to watch that, because for them, it was now a sense of confidence builds inside you. You're no more just a housewife. You're no more somebody who's at home and just keeping the house tidy or, looking after your family. You're not one of those. Now you're generating a source of income for the family. And that in itself brings in so much confidence into women who've really not served otherwise, right? Yeah. So I think that was the first step with how women got inspired, is what I'm thinking. That's how it was. Okay. And of course, coffee is the only source of income for most of us here. Right? To bring about another source of income, and especially by the woman of the house, because hospitality also comes very naturally to women in this region. Yeah. They're all very natural about hosting people. Okay. And it's so beautiful to see that, because it just became a natural part for them. I'm hosting people, I'm cooking the same food, but now I'm earning a little bit from it, which was such a beautiful journey for most of them. And so hence it started. Most women started, but eventually, of course, maybe I would say 10, 12 years later, it started becoming a little commercial also. And now it's becoming too commercial. Yeah. So it is not such a great thing in my opinion, but I would still say homestays must have the touch of the woman of the house. Yeah. They are the ones who will bring quality into it and who will bring meaning and love and warmth into the whole space. When it's a commercial venture, it just becomes, it's all money and it's economics. So, but having said that, not deviating from the topic, but this is what I feel it did.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to, empower women in terms of, seeing you as an example. I think many women joined doing similar things, and that's really, it's a good way of inspiring, and you've helped them too. So, yeah. So next thing about Woodway Homestay is the sustainability and eco-friendliness that are core to it, right? So as an entrepreneur, how do you ensure that your business practices are environmentally conscious and sustainable in the long term?
Sneha, to be honest, some of us, see, I grew up in the city, right? So for me, mountains happened when I'd go to my grandmom's house every summer. So my mom is from this area too. So mountains happened only then, right? But when I got married and came, I realized that as much as, sometimes it does get lonely. It gets, when you don't have things to do, it does. I very quickly realized that this was a blessing too. Just living in nature, just having this on a platter and just living with mountains that are millions of years old is in itself such a huge blessing, right?
Correct.
So when I started Woodway, I had some serious convictions and serious value points, which I said, I'm not going to deviate from this. Okay. Number one, I'm going to run this place, making sure that on the side, I was going to respect nature. I was not going to kill anything, destroy anything. I'm not going to do any of that because I feel like these mountains have lived millions of years and they're going to continue to live million more years, right? So I have no business coming here, destroying things and going back. So my first definite value system was to respect the resources that was available and to restore and make sure that they are all safe. And number one being water. So as I looked around Woodway, I realized that we only have one water source here. That water source was looking after 3 or 4 other estates around us. So the water was going from our estate into 3 or 4 other families from our estate, right? Okay. So do I have the right to destroy that water source? No. So I was very clear about those things. So water was definitely something I managed very well. And that was my practice. And I made sure that if I increase the number of rooms, then I was going to use more water.
Yeah.
I told myself, I'm not going to increase the number of rooms. I'm going to stick to these many rooms and I'm going to make sure that my usage is only so much.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I have to build on commercials, okay, how you're going to ask me, how are you going to make money?
Yeah.
If you don't increase your rooms, I'm going to increase the rates.
Yeah, true.
And how do I increase the rates? By upping my quality.
Yeah.
The minute you're a good quality homestay, you have all the right to pick your rates up.
That's true.
So it all became like many dots connected together for me. So every value system led a way for something better to happen for me. Okay. So water was definitely one thing. The second thing was Woodway being a heritage property. It's a very, very old property. It's about 100 plus years old, the building itself. I said, I'm not going to build anything new. That's the other thing I stuck with.
Okay.
There were a lot of existing structures around it, which were run down, which were falling apart.
Okay.
So what I did with those buildings was to restore them.
Okay.
Because every building had a story to tell.
Yeah.
Now, if I build a new building, there's no vibe in it at all. It's just a new building. There's a room, there's a bathroom and, etc. So I started restoring every building and I started creating stories with the existing buildings around it.
Yeah.
So there was a clubhouse. I converted that into, something else. There was a sports room, things like that got restored. So I didn't try building anything new. That was another thing which was going to hold up the property. It was not going to destroy the ecosystem. And just the mantra of reduce, reuse, recycle. That was another thing I did. I said, let's keep it very, very stringent with things like usage of plastic or just how am I going to recycle everything? What am I going to do with water? Just a lot. I mean, bunch more, of course, more things. But these are, I think, the highlights of eco-friendly practices that I followed in Woodway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that you mentioned was, since you didn't want to increase the number of rooms, you upped it and made it more like a luxury kind of thing. So it has actually evolved from being a bed and breakfast to a luxury heritage bungalow now. That's what I understand, right?
Yeah.
So you've already, mentioned about the transformation. But is there something else that you can add to it, which were like a key milestone that have defined Woodway's success?
See, number one, I'd like to go back to that topic again, Sneha, because I feel like I want to urge everyone to do that. Now there are 600 registered homestays and there are 5,000 unregistered homestays in Chikmagalur.
Wow.
People think it's a quick way of making money, but you know what? Make money, but don't be in a hurry to do it.
Yeah.
Mine is a 22-year-old journey, right? And it's taken me 22 years to get to this phase, but I still feel it's not enough.
Yeah.
But what's important is don't be in such a hurry. I would say focus on quality, because the minute you focus on quality, you have the confidence to raise your bar up in terms of rates, in terms of how you stop entertaining bargains, you stop entertaining all of these things because you're so good.
Yeah.
And people will come to you irrespective, and your entire guest profile will change because your rates are now much higher. People are focusing on quality. People want to come and stay in a quality place. They all want to make memories. No one really talks about just going to Chikmagalur anymore. Oh, I went to Woodway Homestay. It doesn't happen anymore, What happens is I went to Woodway Homestay and I had these experiences on my platter.
Yeah.
People speak about experiences now. And that is true tourism.
Yeah.
If they come to your place and they take stories back and say, you know what else I got in Woodway? Not just a good looking property. I got quality. I got warmth. I got love. I got great experiences in terms of the activities they had planned, not just hike, trek and send you in a Jeep ride. Yeah. Just the whole experience of living in someone's home, eating their food, chatting up with them. These are things that mark, they set a mark on your place and people will come back. You don't even need to try social media marketing then. Yeah. You just need to spread the word. People will come and they will be your influencers.
True.
Will be your influencers, And I think it's worked brilliantly for us. Touch wood, by God's grace. Also because you need to know that you need to stop at a point of need. If it becomes greed and if you're in competition all the time, then the universe is not going to support you. It is not going to happen. It's really, So I think, just that. I think for me, what else? Great food. Give them great food and present your food beautifully. Okay, just don't keep a bunch of things on your buffet counter and say, just help yourselves. And when you're sitting down with food, serving them your platter, talk about the food, talk about the experiences, talk about the different kinds of cuisines in the area, the tastes in the area, all of it. Food is definitely a USP in a homestay. Yeah. The second thing is you don't have to be fancy in your rooms. You just have to be clean, tidy, airy, and full of light and, all of that. Constantly check on your guests, talk to them, keep on asking them if they're happy, if they need some help. Of course, hospitality is not bending backwards because you're the owner of the property. You need to know where to stop, but definitely throw a lot of love. Yeah. That really goes a long way. And just making your guests feel like they're responsible when they're traveling. Your eco-friendly practices must rub off on your guests also.
True, very true.
Then again, that's another secret I always reveal. I'm like, no, they need to. If they're coming to Woodway, they need to know that they have to be responsible in Woodway.
Okay.
Simple, like I don't allow drinking and smoking within the bungalow premises. They have to come outside. They have to drink and smoke outside. Those kind of little practices, but they are so respectful. It's so beautiful to see that they value what you...
Finally, I think that you said the experiences matter, right?
Yeah.
And the nice moments that they have when they stay. I think those are the things that take back with them and
absolutely
what makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feeling inspired by this conversation? Pause here, take a moment to like and share this episode, and then let's dive back right into this conversation. Now, one more thing, you are a long-standing member of Wildcat Sea.
Yeah.
And you've been actively involved in the wildlife conservation in Chikmagalur.
That's right.
Yeah, to a person like me, actually, I don't know much about it. So could you share like what is it about and what is maybe a significant project or initiative that you've been a part of?
To be honest, Sneha, Wildcat is more my husband's baby.
Okay.
And there are a few other founder members. Girish is another very prominent member. He has dedicated his life to this. So all of these boys worked selflessly. This is a 25-year-old or maybe more. It's an NGO which is that old.
Okay.
And they have worked relentlessly and selflessly with strong convictions on their platter. And I have just stood there supporting. But also what I've been actively involved in, so many things, like just educating kids, just funding the organization, personal funding the organization. I've always done that to my best ability. Right now, currently involved in tourism because they're also working very, very strongly towards setting some tourism policies. Because without policies, everything just grows badly, right?
True.
And when it goes haphazard like that, when it's not streamlined, your tourism becomes a short-lived process.
Very true.
You want tourism to live for 100 years?
Yeah.
Like Switzerland has their tourism going for so long, then you need proper policies.
Yeah.
And these boys have really gone out of their way. They've formulated policies. They've taken examples from everywhere. And if that happens, we'll be able to save our mountains, Sneha.
So Sushmita, your involvement with the Women's Coffee Alliance India, it actually, where you promote Indian coffee and supporting women coffee growers. So what has been your most rewarding experience with this and how do you see its role evolving in the future?
See, coffee is such a bright crop. Okay, so the thing is, but also growing coffee is a lot of work. So when I see my husband working on the farms, I realize that if I gave him 48 hours, he would work all 48 hours. And that's how much work there is on the farms, right? So I feel running a coffee farm is a joint effort. It has to be where the man, it's definitely a male setup, right? So we have to accept it irrespective of how empowered we all are today. We are dealing with a different segment of the society when it comes to the labor who are working on the plantation and all of that. So it's a very strong, just the productions and operations at the farm level really takes in a lot of effort. And that I feel the man does it brilliantly, right? Yeah. So if the woman can share in, if she can pitch in, if the marketing, the branding, and just reaching the coffee out to the right audience, to the right consumers, if that can be handled by the woman, then it'll be a brilliant business to take forward, right? So WCAI gave me a lot of opening. I was able to understand how to kind of take this forward. What is a pathway opening? These kind of things. It gave me a lot of understanding of how a woman can add value to her husband's hard work and make it her own too at the same time, So that's pretty much what it did.
Now, I think we've spoken a lot about farming, homestay and everything. But then that's not all, right? You have a lot of hobbies as well, yoga, meditation, creative cooking, Bharatanatyam. All these things also play a significant role in your life.
Yeah.
So how do these activities influence your approach to business and personal well-being?
All of these activities ultimately lead you to personal well-being. So your yearning for well-being itself, great health, a great mental health, to just great emotional health. When you yearn for these things, Sneha, the teachers will appear. They all come. Like yoga came into my life when I was really not in a great health space.
Okay.
Meditation, I needed meditation at a point to just center myself, and the meditation happened. So everything comes organically into your life when you seek well-being, when you seek health, when you seek, and ultimately the goal is to find peace and happiness.
Yeah.
No matter what we do,
Yeah.
No matter how successful we are, no matter what our turnovers are. And the bottom line is, are you happy with all of this happening around you? Right?
Yeah.
So for me, that was very important to make sure that I was not just showcasing success, but I was also at the bottom, I was very, very happy and content doing what I'm doing. So hence yoga, of course, came in when I was very young.
Okay.
My father was a yoga practitioner and he was also my first teacher. So yoga came in when I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
I discontinued practice in the middle, but then later I went on to becoming a teacher. I started my own studio. I enjoyed the 10 years of teaching because yoga also, as a teacher, you start giving a lot in yoga. And that's very satisfying at the soul level, So that was amazing. It was an amazing 10-year journey. I had to stop now because I'm just loaded with work. I don't have the time for multiple things.
Yeah.
Meditation gave me a lot of scope for personal growth.
Yeah.
I really, really grew as a human being because of meditation. If it makes you rock solid.
Yeah, very true.
It just makes you so solid. Any turmoil that's happening around you, your meditation is your guard. You're going to say, all right, I'm going to wait and watch it. That's how it works. Yeah. Bharatanatyam was an incomplete dream, to be honest. I used to practice Bharatanatyam as a kid. Then I discontinued because the teacher left and all of that. And then I just got back resuming because a very dear friend of mine was a yoga teacher and I also practiced under her for a long time. She was also a Bharatanatyam teacher.
Okay.
So I just used to go there. I went for about many years and I enjoyed it. It was just a fun thing to dance with 5-year-olds and look silly in front of the 5-year-old because they're all so good and you're terrible. It was that. So Bharatanatyam was that. Yeah.
I think you put it very beautifully, Susmitha, the way you spoke about the well-being and how meditation, centers you, grounds you actually. And I have seen that happen in my life too. Like I started doing it last 2 years now, 2.5 years now. But it has changed the entire outlook.
Yeah.
The way I see things, the way things happen to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think, when we talk about empowerment for women and all that, I feel like telling them at least start with these basics,
Exactly.
And
yeah. But truly for me, my journey started with all my spiritual practices.
Yeah, very true.
Success will follow, but if there's unhappiness at the bottom, then no matter how much you try on the outside, Sneha, it's just not going to help.
Yeah.
And we don't need to show people that we're extremely happy people. If you're happy, you just know you're happy.
Yeah.
It'll just happen. Everything will unfold on its own.
Very true.
So, yeah.
So thank you, Susmitha. I think it's not just, you're not just a successful entrepreneur, but there are a lot of roles that you play and you've shared your experiences so well. And I'm sure, a lot of women would have definitely got inspired by this. So thank you for sharing your journey and thank you for being a part of Wonder Woman Wednesday.
Thank you, Sneha. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and just sharing my little journey, my little story with everyone. I hope to inspire, but it's really not, that's not how we should be looking at it. But it's nice to share each because I'm sure every woman has an inspiring story behind her.
Yeah.
And everyone is so powerful and strong. Every woman is so powerful and strong. And everyone inspires you in different ways.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So thank you for giving me this opportunity and sharing, helping me share what I knew little. So thank you.
Yeah. So what we'll do, Susmitha, is we'll put the links to the homestay and any other links that you would want us to share in the description. So people can reach out and have a look and, explore much more than what we have spoken probably.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Today's episode has taught us that every step towards change counts and it is the collective efforts of all individuals like you and Susmitha that can truly make a difference. So don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more inspiring stories and join us as we explore the journeys of remarkable women who are shaping a better future for us all. Thank you for tuning into Wonder Woman Wednesday. Let's keep pushing boundaries, breaking barriers, and creating a sustainable and inclusive world, one story at a time. See you in the next episode.